15 days away, and it's time for some burning questions. Go to the NFC East. Ben Solak, who would be the best pick for the Giants?
4-4-6. Put him next to Tremaine Edmonds, who's also 6'5". We're covering some space now. That's hard to throw against. We've got a great defensive front there with the Giants. They've made a lot of investments there recently. And the secondary also last year, they added Paulson Adebo, Javon Holland. They're very close now to having a really strong defense. Need one more piece. Styles is that last piece.
Mike Tannenbaum, Sonny Styles in that Giants blue and John Harbaugh's defense. Can you see it?
Yeah, Peter, I actually like Ben's idea. Even though they have Tremaine Edwards, you're going to have two of the longer linebackers in the league. Again, Sonny Styles is so rare. I think a lot of quarterbacks are going to have trouble throwing over the top of him. They have some other needs that may be more important, like offensive line, certainly another receiver. But if they want it with Sonny Styles, he will be a great fit in the Giant defense.
Yeah, Kevin Clark. Let's go to the Commanders here. They have the number 7 overall pick after being in the NFC Championship game 2 years ago. If all things were to go correctly, who would you take?
Give me Carnell Tate. I talked to Dan Quinn last week at the owners' meetings, and one thing he said to me was the new offense with David Blah, the new offensive coordinator. Lots of under center, lots of play action. What does that open up, according to Dan Quinn? The deep shot. Carnell Tate is great at getting separation, at working back towards the ball, or running routes. He would be perfect. Remember, Jaden Daniels might be the best deep ball artist in the history of college football. They want to reignite that in D.C. Carnell Tate, a big part of that.
Ben Solak, what do you think of a Jaden Daniels-Carnell Tate connection?
It's really a Jaden Daniels, Carnell Tate, and Terry McLaurin connection, right? When you look at some of these elite offenses over the last few years, you see guys who have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. You want to have the dude and then the dude. So when you add Carnell Tate to Terry McLaurin, you now have what looks a lot more like a deep playoff run offense than it's previously looked there in Washington.
Two-dude offense.
I like that.
Two dudes.
2 Ohio State dudes as well. Mike Tannenbaum, who is the best pick if all things in the board went correctly for the Cowboys at number 12?
A defensive player that had a pulse. They can't go wrong. They've added Jalen Thompson. They've added Rashawn Gary. But gosh, give me, if Ruben Bain falls, if Caleb Downs falls, if Mansour Delane is there, they need a defensive player in the front 7, in the secondary, at corner. This was a team that was last in the league in EPA per play, last in every meaningful category. They need help on defense, even though they're off to a good start this offseason.
Kevin, I'm going to give you the scenarios. You do it all out here. There might be a chance that Bain, Styles, Downs. Or a Mansour Delane is there. What's the best situation for them, for the Cowboys, with what they need?
It's the first 2 guys you named, Bain and Downs. They both dominated in big games, and guess what? I think either of those guys, first of all, you run to the podium, because drafting has never been the problem for the Cowboys. This happens after they draft.
Yeah, they
it becomes
actually
the
draft
problem.
very
yes,
well.
Exactly. So the drafting isn't the issue here. The player acquisition has never been a problem. However, if they're able to get one of those guys, they're going to be immediate NFC East contenders because they don't need much. Their offense has a really high floor. Their defense, Quinn Williams, one of the best defensive tackles in the entire league. The Rashawn Gary acquisition. If you added Downs, if you added Bain, that's immediate impact. I just think they're going to be able to compete in that division, which I think is a little more wide open than it has been the last couple of years. I think that Bain is the pick there, and we know he's played a lot of ball, played into January. He's going to be able to play in big games immediately.
If you are a fan of the Cowboys, what you are praying for is What you're praying for is all the wide receivers go.
Yep.
And then you want the offensive tackles to go. And then you want to have at least one of those stud defensive players fall to you.
They should start talking up Ty Simpson. They should start, start some burner accounts. Say, hey, Ty Simpson, top 10 pick. No, I think one of those guys, because listen, safeties always underdrafted. Ruben Bain with the arm length might be underdrafted. There are guys who are going to drop. We talked about Sonny Styles. Again, I think Sonny Styles is going to end up being the best player in this draft. However, off-ball linebacker, sometimes teams overthink it. Mm-hmm. Someone will drop to the Cowboys, and it will change the complexion of the NFL next year.
Here's what's tricky, though. They're sitting there at 12 and somebody's dropping. They've also got 20 in their back pocket.
Yep.
So it's 8, and you start to get itchy, man. Caleb Downs is falling. It's 9, Sonny Styles is falling. You pick up that phone, and you start to figure out what the price is to move up. Don't even be surprised if it's David Bailey at 2 to the Jets and Arvell Reese makes it to 3. You know the Cardinals want to get out of that pick. So if I'm the Cowboys, I'm calling people on draft night.
Let's stay in the NFC East because maybe the most fascinating pick, even though they're not in the top 10, is number 23, and it's the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's not necessarily the player they get. It is what that player symbolizes and maybe makes it significant. Ben, Who should they target with the 23rd overall pick?
I'm trying to split the difference, and I like Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon. He's got value in the event that A.J. Brown leaves because he can step into some of those targets, create some explosive plays, catches over the middle of the field. He's also got value if he doesn't leave because he plays the tight end position. Dallas Goedert, only 1 year left on his contract. And Goedert, the Eagles' tight end position, was a big issue for them in the running game last year. They need more impactful blocking from that spot. While Sadiq isn't great in line, he's very good out in space. You can use him on the RPOs and the bubble screens, and so Sadiq. Value if A.J. Brown stays, value if A.J. Brown goes. I get to play my hand a little closer to the vest if I pick him at 23.
What do you think, Kev?
Spencer Fano. He's a guy, classic Eagles pick. First of all, he was mocked in the top 5 a couple weeks ago. His stock is dropping a little bit to the point that he might be picked in the second half of the first round. But also, what do the Eagles love? Traits, and more traits. Best 3-cone of any lineman at the combine. Best short shuttle. Howie Roseman is going to absolutely fall in love with that good of an athlete at tackle. I just think they have to have a succession plan for Lane Johnson.
Tannenbaum, I'm going to bring you in here. You actually like a different direction for the Eagles. What do you think they should do with the 23rd pick?
Yeah, I actually consider defensive end for a second because they lost Jalen Phillips and Brandon Graham.
Sure.
But I'm going to go with Denzel Boston, receiver, University of Washington. He was a 4-year player for the Huskies. Really productive guys. 20 touchdowns, over 1,700 yards. And he's in the mold of A.J. Brown. I am not saying he's A.J. Brown, but he is big, he is physical, and he's a great complement to Devontae Smith. So if you look at the salary cap situation, A.J. Brown makes a lot more sense to be traded post-June 1st. If they do that, their best opportunity to replace A.J. Brown is going to be in this year's draft. And if you look at the prototypes of the players coming out, Denzel Boston looks as much as A.J. Brown could look like coming out, even though you can't replace him overnight.
We referenced the windy fingers. Jed Fish, the head coach of the University of Washington, college roommates and buddies with Howie Roseman when they were at the University of Florida. If there's ever at the most polarizing prospects in the NFL draft, my phone is open, talking to everyone. When you're doing mock drafts, you have all sorts of disparities. Here are the 5 names that people are split on. Number 5, go to Tennessee, cornerback Jermad McCoy. When he was on the field in 2024, was likely the best defensive back in football, but he missed all of 2025 with an injury. What do you do with that? He's tall, he's rangy, had some real ups and downs. That's Caden Proctor out of Alabama. Proctor, whose video I believe will show you he's 6 to Cleveland. That is how much upside there is. We don't know whether he's going to go there or later. Long, and traditionally you want those big arms for a defensive lineman to fight off those tackles. Ruben Bain, polarizing where he goes in the first round. Number 2, Spencer Fano. Let me be clear on this. Health is perfect. Off the field is perfect. He wears a C on his chest. Unbelievable. And yet, what do you do with a guy who wasn't a pure left tackle in the college? Pops off the screen, great in the biggest moments, everything you can ask for, except I have him going 9 to the Chiefs in my latest mock draft, but gosh, look at this guy. Did someone go to Augusta and spend a lot of money in the pro shop? How we doing, Mike? Mike Tannenbaum, what do you do with someone like Jordan Tyson? And yes, we get it. You were at the Masters. Talk to us about Tyson. What a prospect and the questions you have with the health.
Okay, that was for Wendy, by the way. I would have real concerns about Jordan Tyson. The way Ben talked about it early in the show, here's why. Typically, when you have soft tissue injuries, guys, and I would be really worried if we took a player in the top 10 because I just don't see him playing 17 games year in and year out. Yeah,
again, to reiterate, I've got him going 9. That's top 10. I have heard some say that the Giants have interest at 5. So we will see. He's also been put to the Eagles at 23 in other mock drafts. So that is why he's polarizing. All right, forget polarizing. Let's talk about love and not Jeremiah. One player that you love in this draft process, doing all the work, Ben Solak, is who?
Arizona safety Traden Stukes. Now, this is a fringe first round, maybe early second round guy, but when we talk about modern safeties, we talk about guys who can play corner, play nickel, play deep. And Stukes did all of those positions over 6 years there at Arizona. 6'1", 190, runs a true 4.33, plays the ball wonderfully in the air. His angles, they're so, especially for a guy who spent very little time at safety, it's extremely impressive to watch. So we're going to see more and more combo players, think Justin Reed, Kobe Bryant, develop in the NFL. Brandon Stoops is one of them.
All right, Kevin Clark, give us a player that you love.
Wide receiver Chris Bell from
Louisville. Oh, that's like Tom Jackson.
That's
Chris
right,
Berman.
TJ.
Let's go.
Chris Bell, he got on my radar during ACC play. I'm an ACC Network power watcher. He was slanting teams to death, just over the middle, slant, 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 getting open, creating separation. 6'2", 220, big body. Reliable blocker. I love everything about him. He missed some time. He's going to be a mid-round steal, but I think he's awesome at day one start.
That's one of those we clip off in like week 7 when he's making plays. Mike Tannenbaum, who you got? Who you love?
Jacob Rodriguez, and this fits perfectly to Kevin Clark, who loves the ACC. You started off where, Kevin? University of Virginia, but he has had improbable production at Texas Tech, guys.
Yeah.
6 sacks, 6 interceptions, 12 PBUs, but improbably 13 forced fumbles. I've never seen that in translate. He's going to be a very good pro player. I see some Zach Thomas in his game.
He was in the Texas Tech. He was in the Heisman conversation at one point this season. My player, everyone loves Mendoza. You watch the tape. It's hard not to love Omar Cooper Jr.
Yes, sir.
He's not the tallest guy. He's not the fastest guy. He does everything for this Indiana team. And when they needed him most in those big games, whether it be Penn State back in the end, by NFL evaluators. All right.
How about these comps?